Okay, so we're gonna do an interview with Nausea today, but I think there's been a little bit miscommunication, so I might have to go to Roy's page. So this is his page on Instagram. He's, I think he's live right. Yeah, he's live right now, so I gotta go to his page. I think there was a miscommunication, so he's not. Oh, there's Roy. Oh, Roy, you have to press request. Okay, there's a request button. You gotta press on that. Okay, there you go. Let's see. It'll take time to load.
Here I am.
Oh, cool.
Made
Roy,
it.
how are you today?
Good, man. Sorry, I thought I was supposed to start it on my end, so I did. So I had a bunch of people just hanging out on my page, just looking at me like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. We
Sorry,
got
man.
we got a lot of questions for you today.
Cool. I'm just
But
trying to find so I can actually hear you guys. All right.
can you hear me? Okay?
How you doing, man? Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a long time. Before we start the interview, I'm gonna give a little bit introduction about Nausea. I got this from the wiki page. It says Nausea was an American crust band from New York City, active from 1985 to 1992. Nausea is usually cited as being integral in the rise of American crust punk, fusion of anarcho-punk and extreme metal style. It goes on and on. It says Nausea's apocalyptic lyrics and artwork were influenced by social political issue of the day, such as Reagan administration, the U.S.-USSR Cold War, threats of nuclear war with the USSR. Nausea focused on topics such as environmentalism, human extinction, pollution, and animal rights. But before we go through all the questions, I want to ask you something my friend's been asking. Would there ever be a reunion of Nausea? Why or why not?
Well, I mean, we've tried to make that happen a bunch of times, but it just people have different things going on in their lives. There's five of us. We all have five, different lives to make it all like happen together. It just wasn't in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
So we have written music, newer music. Me, John, and Victor. We wrote new stuff, and it's just kind of sitting on the shelf for right now. But who knows? Maybe one day. But I don't know. I just don't really see it really happening. I wish. I'd love for it to happen, man.
Did the new music ever got released or anything?
No, I
Never?
have. We
Okay.
have.
We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but we're going to go step by step. So how did you first got involved with punk rock? And from there, how did you got involved with the anarcho-punk scene?
How I got involved with punk rock. I mean, like, I think pretty much everyone discovers it. You just kind of stumble across it. You make friends with kids that are into punk, and then those friends inspire you. I have an older brother who inspired me with all that. He was into punk, and I pretty much followed his footsteps with that, and then just kind of went there from there on my own, and just started discovering my own bands within that scene through the means of like fanzines, like Maximum Rock and Roll and Flipside. I was lucky to find those at those small indie record shops back then, and a lot of word of mouth.
Okay. And I also saw on a YouTube video at the Exploited show from the 80s, you were hanging out in backstage. Was that the show that Waddy played Fuck the USA, then all the skinheads jump on the stage, they all got in a rumble?
No one jumped on stage. Actually, my band at that time was a band called Word Made Flesh. My brother and I we opened up, and what happened was a couple people in the audience had cans of mace and sprayed everybody in the front line, including the band and myself and everyone, and just all fucking hell broke loose. And then he ended up coming back out on stage and playing. I think that show you're talking about, I think that was probably in Trenton City Gardens.
Oh, okay. Somehow I thought that was the show. I was going, whoa, no way, because I was watching you hanging out in the 80s with the Exploited and stuff. And
fun times.
from there, how did you get involved with Nausea? Didn't Nausea start in 1985?
Nausea, yeah, it started in 1985. I was a fan of the band. I mean, I've seen them a bunch of times before joining them. And the reason how I got in the band was a mutual friend of John and myself, this guy named Roberts. I was living with him at the time in Philly. It's before I moved back to New York City on my own. He was telling me that, hey, Nausea is looking for a new drummer. And I told them about you. What do you think about going up and trying out for them and hanging out, see what they think. He gave me John's number and we talked, and I, borrowed $10 for a New Jersey Transit SEPTA train to Penn Station and met up with John, and then rest is history after that.
Wow, that's interesting. So since I'm just from New York, I recently read a book by Roger from Agnostic Front,
Mm-hmm.
the whole New York hardcore scene, and
Yeah.
I also just finished reading this from Cro-Mags about the whole New York hardcore scene. And in the 80s, it seemed New York was really fucking crazy the way it sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Was it
Definitely.
really that crazy for all the stuff they described in the book?
Well, what those guys, I mean, you got to remember, those guys are a few years older than me too, so they saw other shit that I probably didn't see. I mean, they were there when it was really, really fucking insane. I got there from like the middle '80s on and caught the tail end of all the craziness. I mean, that city, I mean, has went through so many changes. I mean, it's hard to say. I can only just tell you from my experiences what I've seen and done there.
Okay. Tell me about the New York City Lower East Side squatting community you guys were involved with.
Mm-hmm. What about it?
Weren't you guys involved with squatting, the members of Nausea? Were you squatting at that time?
I did squat for a bit, but I wasn't squatting when I was joining Nausea. Before that, I was.
Okay.
More because like at the time I was in a transition, leaving Philadelphia, going to New York, and just trying to find my foot there because I wanted to live in New York and just play music and so I did whatever I had to do to live there, and I did squat there for a little while, and the whole idea behind squatting attracted my attention because it was like, all right, instead of letting these buildings go to waste, and why not do something with them and make it a home.
The reason I was asking it was a while back I read it in Maximum Rock and Roll a long time ago. The one of the squat burned down. That Nausea squat was staying or something. It was a long time ago.
I was around. I didn't join Nausea until like 1989.
Oh,
So
okay.
anything before that, I really don't. I wasn't around for some of the things you're probably going to ask because they had a few other drummers before me. Pablo was the first drummer, and Jimmy from Maximum Penalty, the singer from Maximum Penalty, was the second drummer, and I replaced him after that.
And you played on the album?
I played on all the records.
All the recordings.
Except for the only recording I didn't play on that's out was the song Fallout, which is on the Way It Is New York Hardcore compilation. I didn't play on that.
Okay. Before we go to more about Nausea and your album and stuff, I've been reading so much about C Squad. Tell me about C Squad. Have you been to that place, C Squad?
Not much. I mean, by the time I was kind of hip to C Squad, I kind of wasn't really hanging out in the scene as much. And I mean, the only time I've been to C Squad was to see shows.
Okay.
Seen like Neurosis there, and Crash Worship, stuff like that. But I didn't really hang out there.
Crash Worship. I remember them. Wow.
I didn't really hang out there that much, I mean, at that point, I was hanging out wherever I worked more, for clubs and bars, and working at different clubs like Wetlands and CBGB's and Coney Island High. I was doing front of house. I was doing the live sound engineer, just to basically to stay alive, in between, trying to tour and make records, because you didn't make any money stuff. You only made money off of what, just doing whatever you could do to survive. I worked 3 different clubs just to, make ends meet to pay the rent.
Right.
That's what I spent my time doing mostly in the 90s.
Yes. Couple more questions before we go into nausea stuff. Do you remember Ralphie Boy, who was on the Morton Downey Jr. show?
Ralphie Boy?
Yes.
Disassociate Ralphie?
Yeah, Ralphie Boy from Squatter Rot. That's the first time I heard about the whole New York punk scene, when they were all on a talk show, on Morton Downey Jr. TV talk show, and I think it was Morton Downey Jr. It was in the late 80s. I was going, wow.
I remember what show. There were so many shows like exploiting the whole Lower East Side punk scene. Like Morton Downey did that. Donahue did that. Who else? I mean, Geraldo Rivera. I guess I don't know. He had the Nazi skinheads on his show. That's right.
Right. But what's really amazing is the Tompkins Square Park riot. All the punks and anarchists were fighting gentrification at that time, and this is a banner, and the picture says gentrification, class war, fight back. I never even heard of that word, gentrification, before. And stop the war on the poor. Gentrification is a genocide. You see an anarchist black flag on the background.
I remember all of that going on, but at the time I was still living in Philadelphia, and I was aware of that happening. That was in 1988.
Oh, 1988.
I came around to live there officially, like right after that, like in the wintertime. The best time to move to New York, right? Yeah, it was my first time, squatting in New York in the wintertime. But before that, I remember living in Philly at the time and seeing all that insanity on the news. And I knew some people in New York that were telling me about it. And it was just a really fucked up time, man.
It's just amazing fighting gentrification. 1988. Now it's like the big thing, like in the Oakland area and stuff like that. Before all this pandemic happened.
It's constant. It's inevitable. The world.
I mean,
I've seen the whole world change in the last 30-some years of touring. Constantly returning to the same place. Everything is bought out. All the mom and pop shops are gone. All those small boutique businesses are gone. That's all ran by corporations.
Yes, I just have to say that touches my heart. Seeing punk rockers and everything fighting gentrification in 1988, especially from the East Coast punk scene. Also, I want to ask you more questions before I go into nausea. Do you remember Dan from Insurgents? Because he used to be my pen pal.
Absolutely.
Yes, Dan from Insurgents. We used to write to each other, and he used to send me photos of Punk's Picnic in New York. Did you go to any of those? And how were they?
I used to go to those a lot. Those are great. I think Ralphie Boy and Neil, who was in Nausea, used to organize those. I think they were the ones that were organizing, and then we just all show up like wherever. It would be in either Tompkins Square or Central Park, or that's it. Hang out with a bunch of boys and some food, and good. Listen to punk rock music.
I used to have like a few pen pals in New York in the late 80s, but is the Anarchist bookstore in New York? I forgot the name. Is that still open, or is it gone a long time ago?
That's long gone, man. I mean,
okay.
Lower East Side and East Village is definitely not the same place that I knew when I was living there. I mean, I go home once a year to visit my mom, and I'll walk through East Village and Lower East Side where I used to live. It's like basically a shell of the place I used to live in. It's almost like everything that I've known about that place didn't exist. It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. I got 3 more questions before we go into nausea.
Sorry, I'm doing this because I'm having a hard time hearing you because I'm.
Oh, okay. All right, for sure. Also at a pen pal, he used to send me a lot of packages. Ralphie Boy from Squatter Rot, he used to do a label and stuff. What happened to Ralphie Boy? I haven't heard him for many, many years. He was my pen pal.
He's still around, man. He's on Facebook. He's still sort of active. I don't think he does Disassociate anymore, but he might have a couple times in the last few years, like some reunion shows, but that's about it. I mean, I don't really talk as much. I mean, we talk to each other every now and then, like on Instagram and Facebook. And,
Oh, cool. I gotta look for him
I
on
keep in touch.
Instagram. Rocky
I try
Boy.
to keep in touch with everybody I used to I've grown up with. Whether from
Right.
elementary school to people in that scene. At least some of the ones that are still alive. Unfortunately, it's a fact of life. Like a lot of your friends just go. It sucks when I get that phone call that
Uh-huh.
who passed away. Like
Sorry,
yesterday,
sorry
Jimmy
to
from
hear that. Well,
Jimmy Webb from I Need More, Trash and Vaudeville. He
uh-huh.
yesterday. We're losing a lot of people, man.
Wow. Sorry to
Not
hear
just
that.
like in general in the world right now of what's going on right now in the world. There's a lot of people going. It, the virus is just taking everybody out. But that's a lot of the
Yes.
story. Don't want to talk about that right now
Yes.
because
So we're doing this video so people who are staying home can watch this and everything. I'm gonna upload it on YouTube and all that. Just to give people, entertainment and stuff. Last one, the real famous fanzine, Slug and Lettuce. Christine from Slug and Lettuce from New
Chris
York.
Ford.
Yes, I mean
Yes.
Chris Ford. I met her in 1991. She came down in LA one time. That was the last time I saw her. But I used to be her pen pal too. What happened to Slug and Lettuce, Chris?
I think she still does it. She still has. I think she still puts that together. She still takes photos. She's raising an awesome, beautiful family in Virginia. She still takes photos and kicks ass at that.
Right.
I seen her not long ago. I seen her about a few years ago. It was great hanging out with her and seeing her and talking to her again. And she gave me like a lot of cool old photos that I've never seen before that I have somewhere. I gotta like go through them and like really put them in frames because she really captured a really cool time in New York, when I was living there, like between the years of like 90 to 93, 94. She's got, I mean, not even those years. She's got she's got more photos than beyond those years. She's got amazing stuff.
Yes, a lot of people don't know this, but back then we didn't have internet because of her zine. Like everybody was writing to each other because of the classified on the back. Okay, now let's go to your first album. When you did your first Nausea record, it came with a posters and everything. Who was the artist for your first record?
There's two artists. John did all of the inner gatefolds. And obviously he did the logo, and the actual illustrated cover on the front was by Al, our singer. Yeah, that's it.
And then, like, when you open it up, I mean, there was lyrics and there was all these writing, like spider. Each letter were like,
dude, that's John, man. He like,
that's John.
I mean, hours and hours and hours. He would be like, it's insane how the size of the letters that it's crazy how he just did the detail. It's amazing. And a lot of people don't really realize that, like how much time it took to draw out all those letters. Like those aren't computer generated fonts. Like he did all that by hand.
Wow. Each one, it was like all these bunch of spider sticks. It was just amazing. So I just wanted to know who the artist was.
John John's no joke, man. Like his heart, blood, sweat, and tears, his heart and soul is in everything he ever done, especially in those lyrics. I mean, I watched countless hours do those lyrics. It's crazy.
So after that album came out, you guys went on tour. Tell us about your tour.
Yeah, our first actual legit tour was in Europe. My first time in Europe. It was their first time in Europe. It was great. I mean, I was just about to turn 20. Spent my 20th birthday in Europe, actually on a boat going from Denmark to Sweden. That was the day. But that European tour was incredible. I mean, what can I say? It was great to meet other people from other bands and the same scene, but in a different part of the world. It was incredible. There's nothing like the first time seeing that.
I used to be a pen pal with your singer Al. and we used to talk on the phone many years ago. Al, he gave me the master tape of the VHS in from Holland and stuff. He told me even Kevin came to your show, Kevin from Conflict.
Wait, who's this? Wait, one more time? I can't hear you.
Al from Nausea. I used to be pen pal with a long time ago. We
What
used
did
to
you
talk on Nausea, master copy of Nausea VHS live in Holland.
Oh, you have that?
I have the master copy. I uploaded on YouTube the
Give
whole
me that
entire
shit.
set. You can have it. I can mail it to you. I'll give you the master. I already uploaded on YouTube and stuff. But he was telling me when you guys were on tour, even Kevin from Conflict came to your show. And did any of your favorite bands came to see you guys in Europe when you were on tour?
I remember the first time meeting Steve Allen from Disorder. That was the first people I met from a band that I really liked. Still really good friends. We still talk to each other since that day. That was fun. Who else? We ended up doing a bunch of dates with Citizen Fish, which is
cool.
guys from Subhumans.
Did
NBC.
you guys play with ENT or anything? Extreme Noise Terror?
With who?
Did you guys play with Extreme Noise Terror? No?
We were supposed to, but we got denied entry.
Oh.
That all went to hell. Yeah.
So what part of Europe did you guys go during that time?
First stop was Holland, because and the reason being is because our tour managers, Sid from Cheetah Chrome Motherfuckers, Italian hardcore band, was our tour manager and booking agent guy. So he lived in Holland, so that was the first stop. So we played a lot of really cool places. Like we played Groningen the first show, and it was at a squat called the WNC, which is definitely longer there. Where else did we play? We played Hengelo. We didn't play Amsterdam, which is weird. We played everywhere else but Amsterdam. We played Rotterdam and stuff like that. And then where else did we go from there? We went to like Hamburg, played the Hofenstrasse, Studebaker squat, which is still there, and that's where I met Steve Allen. Disorder. Cool. And then from there we went to like Berlin, and we went to Denmark, and I think we then went to Norway. We didn't do Sweden. What else? Didn't do Italy. We didn't do Spain. We did a lot of Germany. We did Belgium. Kind of stayed central. You know what I mean? And then the second tour we did in Europe, which was the following year, we kind of played other places we didn't get to play before. Oh, we played Italy. We played in Milan, a squat called Leoncavallo, which was great. It was this huge compound of a squat. I'd never seen anything like that. I mean, coming from a New York City squat, which is just a 6-floor walk-up railroad apartment-style squat, and falling apart, and just hopelessly putting it back together. Hopefully, no more leaks or, shit like that, or getting electrocuted or things coming on fire. We go to a place like Leoncavallo in Milan. It's just like, wow, a huge commune. Two big buildings. One building had like where everyone was sleeping, and then there was one small venue, and the other building had a huge venue in, and it was like horse stables. It looked like it used to be horse stables, I guess. I don't know what this place was, but it was massive, and it was probably one of the biggest squats I've ever seen in my life. At that time, it was just a big holy shit moment on the whole experience of touring Europe for the first time for me. I mean, I think for all of us, we're just like blown away by how organized everything was over there.
There's a question for Moral Bondage.
What?
There's a question on screen right below. It says
Moral Bondage. Okay, it says, do you remember playing in Belgium with Private Jesus Detector and staying with them? I do, actually. That was in Ypres, wasn't it? At the Rotten Fish.
And after that, you did a California tour. Was that 1990?
That was 1990.
That's why I saw you guys.
That was our first and only West Coast tour. And that
Uh-huh.
was the first time I ever been here myself. And I remember saying in my head that I would love to live here one day. And 20 years ago, I moved here.
Oh, wow. And you
Yeah.
played with Glisten Max.
Yeah. Listen,
How,
Max.
how did you get in touch with Glisten Max?
I think that was something that maybe John and Al might have put together.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure how that came together. I just knew, you know, that, oh, we have a tour, West Coast tours coming, blah, blah, let's go. We're going to go West Coast. Great. So I didn't really ask much questions. I just kind of went and did it, you
Uh-huh.
know?
Right, right.
That was a great tour. We did the whole West Coast with them. On the way, we would play with bands like, not Dystopia, fucking Mind Rot, which I think had a member of Dystopia in it. Uh, played a show with Neurosis,
Hmm.
um, Subvert in Seattle.
Oh,
Just some
yes, I
great.
remember Supper. That was good band stuff, too.
They're great. That whole tour was awesome, man. What else? We played in the Bay Area. We played at Gilman Street
Yes.
with Econochrist and Neurosis. Um, what was the other band? Cringer. You guys remember that band?
Oh, yes. Rest in peace to Lance Cringer.
Yeah, man.
Lance was my old pen pal when he was living in Hawaii. But,
Lance
yeah,
was Lance was great, man. He was really cool to let us stay at his place, and he was so
yes,
awesome, man. Him and Kamala were great. They're really cool people.
yes.
It's so unfortunate he's gone. I feel
Oh, and
I've missed
final, right.
before that. What's that?
Final Conflict. You guys played with them with Riverside because somebody
Oh,
posted you
right.
played with Final Conflict. Yes, you played in Riverside. I remember that show all the way
Yeah,
there.
it's called Spanky's.
Yes, yes, that's it in Riverside. That was a good
It's
show.
some weird pizza place.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And do you remember? Oh, I mean, what did you thought about the California scene when you first came to the when you were touring? First time coming to California.
It's definitely way different to New York. Just the whole vibe of it all. Everyone seemed to be really relaxed and like, yeah, what's up? And everyone's just really mellow and cool.
How was New
It
York back then?
definitely
Then
different.
the scene
Um,
difference
what's
between
that?
California. What was the difference between California and New York? Like, how different was it?
Well, the weather was better.
Uh-huh.
Sunny all the time. People were way mellower. That's about it.
Also, in the past, Nausea played many benefit show for different causes and everything, like from animal rights to all kinds of benefit. Besides the band, did you guys do any activities outside of the band for activism?
Um, on our first European tour, we did. We played. I played May Day, May 1st festival, and we got involved in that.
Oh, I read about that on Profane.
Yeah,
They go all crazy on Mayday in Europe, like really
never
crazy stuff.
like that, and had no idea about what was behind it all until we played it and were involved in and got in the middle of all that. It was yeah.
And what are the rest of the members of Nausea doing? Because didn't one of the members, Vic, join Chaos UK or something after Nausea broke
Victor,
up?
yeah, Victor was in Chaos UK for a while. He was on a few records. Now he plays in a surf kind of punk band called Coffin Daggers.
Uh-huh.
Really good. Yeah, really awesome. You should all check it out. They're on
And
Instagram.
and I heard Amy became a lawyer. Is that true?
No.
Oh, okay. And John's a famous artist. He's doing his. Okay.
You want to repeat that because he froze.
Oh, I was saying, what about John? John became an artist. What about Al? What is Al doing?
Honestly, I don't know what Al's doing because
Uh-huh.
the time I talked to him, we were trying to put this reunion together. Um,
Oh, when?
this was about 5 years ago. No one
Whoa.
knows about it, but we were planning on trying to put something together, and it
Uh-huh.
just didn't work. And I haven't talked to him pretty much since then.
Wow. Okay, so that would have been awesome if it went through and everything. So I also have,
I didn't really want to let the cat out of the bag about that, but I mean, at this point, I got to be honest about it, and yeah, it would have been happened, but I don't know. You know what? We look at it this way. If it was meant to happen, it would have happened. All of these roadblocks that came in front of us while putting it back together happened for a reason, and the reason is that nausea happened at a certain time,
mhm.
and I guess it should just remain there and just be a cool memory, you know.
Do you think nausea is way well known now compared to the old days?
Yeah,
Okay,
we became a shirt. That's
I
what.
have a couple. Yes.
No, I'm
Um,
joking. Sam. I appreciate that we the band's memory is still kept going because of the patch in the shirt and the passion of the people that have the passion for that for the band, you know, and you know, it just over time, you know, it just happens with a lot of bands that were around at that time that break up and they just fall into that, you know, into that area of obscurity, which attracts, I think, a lot of people, and that's probably what happened to us, and that's cool,
uh,
you know.
Before I ask you a couple more questions, I have friends who wanted to ask you questions, so they posted on my Facebook wall. First question is from Danny. Danny's actually from New York. Danny's in a band called Flower, and Danny wants to know. I wonder what he thought of the difference between touring with Amoebex and touring with Nausea, because you also played in Amoebex.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarities in that. I mean, touring with Amoebex and touring with Nausea, the one similarity there is the brotherhood and the friendship that we had off stage and on stage. That was by far like the same. And funny, like touring and helping resurrecting that band in a way, it's kind of a full circle for me. It was like rejoining and rejoicing with a scene that I was a part of. Like it was almost like being in Nausea again in a way, you know.
How come you guys didn't?
I loved it. I loved it for that,
I
and
really,
to be
yeah.
and to be able to to recreate something with them, with Rob and Stig, and to write a whole new record with something beyond my wildest dreams. I mean, as a fan, you know, it was mind blowing for me.
I was blown away when I saw you guys perform in Los Angeles with Amoebex. Remember you guys
What's that?
played? I was blown away that you guys played in LA. I think that was 10 years ago with
Yeah,
Amoebex. Yeah, you guys were
yeah.
playing Amoebex. I was blown away. But how come you guys
11.
didn't, how come you guys didn't continue?
Powers that be, man. It's not always up to you. You know, it's always the powers that be. We try to keep it together, but then the one thing that really stopped and halted everything is when I had a stroke in
Oh,
2000,
I
in
didn't even know.
2011. I couldn't even continue with my other band with Stone Sour. Like
Wow.
I had a stroke on tour,
Uh-huh.
and that basically put a halt on everything.
Wow.
I was home for, you know, good 8 to 9 months, not being able to move really or have any kind of motor, you know, normal motor skills.
Uh-huh.
And as I was recuperating during that time, in the middle of it all, is when I was mixing the Sonic Mass Amoebex album.
Yes.
So
You played in the album, the last Amoebex album.
yeah, so
Yeah.
while I was recuperating from the stroke, I was mixing that album. So that's kind
Wow.
of a hard record to listen to on that level because it just reminds me of a really dark time. It was a really time of uncertainty. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not because I was scared. You know, I didn't think I was going to be the same. And am I still going to be able to play drums? Am I going to be a strong enough father for, you know, my unborn daughter? Because at that time we were expecting a child. You know, this
Wow.
happened 5 months before I was, you know, expecting 5 months before I was a father. So I had all that, you know, all that stress in my head, and yeah. But you know,
Everything is cool now with your health, right?
10 years later, I'm okay. You know,
Okay, that's good to hear.
yeah, I'm like 100% back to normal, which is crazy. You know, I'm lucky.
Okay.
Wood there.
Next is from Lorenzo Corsi. Still, I would have so many questions, but well, Nausea was a band that made the difference for me, and when I was very young and still looking for my kind of punk. So my question is, how does it feel to know that through your music you have changed the life for the better of probably many persons along the years? Also, Nausea was probably influenced by Mebex. Is it true? What
Very much.
And how did it? Wait, on what level and how did it feel to play with them?
All right, that's a three-part question. Well, first off, thanks for the kind words, and I feel the same way when I think about bands that changed my life. So for me to hear that from you, that's really cool. I appreciate that. What was the second part of the question?
As a super youngster, I used to have similar weird.
What's
Okay.
that?
All right, I was going through Jacoby's. The second, what band did you say help Union?
Sorry, I'm having a hard time. Right?
Oh, I got lost. I can't find them. I got lost. Oh, here it is. I found it. Nausea was probably influenced by Mebex. Is it true? On what level? How did you feel to play with them?
Well, I mean, Nausea definitely has a bunch of different influences and inspirations because there's five of us in the band, so we all kind of bring, all kind of bring it, separately, but we can all definitely agree that, we all inspired by Amoebics, and of course you can hear a little bit of that in the music. We were also inspired by Slayer at that time. We were also inspired by Venom and Celtic Frost, stuff like that, musically. But lyrically, I mean, it's obvious what we're all inspired by. Yeah.
And Jacoby from beginning of the end fanzine. Coming
What's
from
that?
heavily. Oh, next question is Jacoby from beginning of the end fanzine. He does a zine called.
Wait,
Okay.
when Roy uses earplugs, you hear better. I do use earplugs, but you know what? It's called Years of Damage.
Oh, yes. Musician ear. You have the musician ear. Okay, I'll read it slower. Our next question is Jacoby from beginning of the end fanzine. He has a couple questions for you because he does a fanzine. He says, Roy, your style in drumming has always been very primitive and creative, something that has translated well with crossing over to Amoebics and other groups. What bands can you say help refine the way in which you play and the style you could possibly connect with where you got your roots in playing?
Well, I gotta say, I got many different inspirations and influences. I mean, it's kind of hard to pinpoint it where it came from. Is that what he's asking?
Yes.
If you want to start from the beginning, before punk and any of that stuff, I mean, I started playing drums in 1975, 76. I was about 5, 6 years old. And what I heard then and what turned my head then was, R&B and soul music, all of James Brown and Motown, that kind of thing, to Kiss, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC. That was in my face at the time, so that's what I was listening to. Punk and all the underground stuff that I got into didn't happen until a little bit later. Like I said, I have an older brother who was hip to all that stuff in late 70s, early 80s. So when like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden was happening, I wasn't listening to that. I was listening to, the Ramones, Television and Kraftwerk and Killing Joke. I was more into that kind of stuff, and that's kind of started hearing. My drumming started getting a little more different with that, more simplistic, to the point. So I've mixed that with what I heard prior, and along the years, I just keep listening and keep saving in that little memory bank, and then it just kind of comes out here. Here we are. I mean, it'll take me a long time to really explain how the tree of my influence are with drumming. There's so many branches. I mean, I could say it goes from soul to rock, to hard rock, to punk, to metal, to avant-garde, industrial, no wave. You know, when I say that, meaning industrial, meaning Einstürzende Neubauten, no wave to like would be like the Swans and the Sonic Youth. You know,
And did you play for Ministry?
I did play for Ministry.
Yes, Ministry also.
Mhm.
Other question he has is, coming from a heavily political scene with you playing with Nausea, do you still carry your ethos from these days within the career and life which you live now?
Some, because you change as you get older. I mean, most of my ideologies are definitely the same.
Mm-hmm.
Some have changed a bit, you know. It just happens. You change every day. You change every year. You're different. I'm different to when I was 20 years old. I'm 50 now. Big difference. So, yeah. Do I still believe in certain things? Absolutely. Do I consider myself left wing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think these days I kind of a little more towards the center. I'm not right. I'm not exactly all left. I
Mm-hmm.
look at both sides and make my decision.
That's good. I'm not left or right either. But okay.
I used to be all left. I think
Uh-huh.
we all were.
Here's
It's,
this one.
it's what
This,
you know. When you start to live your life more, you start to understand. You know, some of the some of the stipulations. You know.
all right. This one's kind of long. It's been 30 years since the Extinction LP was released, and some of the largest topic of fear addressed on this record have now become a reality, which are human rights and privacy being tracked and solid by the technology we use, and people voluntarily becoming lifeless cyber slaves, spending most of their days in front of screens and subscribing to what is being shown to them on the screens. Do you still believe it is important that we tread lightly with how much we depend on the trust these technological advancements?
Absolutely, but unfortunately, it's the way of life these days. Everyone relies on their phone. We wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't have the phone. We're relying on this right now to make this interview. I rely right now on on this computer to help me record all this stuff. You know, so you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Sorry, I'm like phone up here. Would it be nice if we didn't have to use these things? Yes, but it's a domino effect. Everyone uses it. We all need it now. You know.
Oh yeah, and you guys saying about that from the Cyber God 7-inch was Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ with the
It
hands out.
is.
Yes, that one. I used to have that a long time ago.
I got this
Yes.
tattooed on me like right before the album came out. The 7-inch came out.
Did,
This is
who drew that?
Al Long drew that.
Yes, that was on the EP cover.
That's my first real official tattoos. I've had a couple jailhouse tattoos that are really bad, but this is my first really good one. And then
What year did that 7-inch came out?
this whole HR Giger thing connected to. Yeah.
And last question from Jacoby. And lastly, do you have advice for young activists who want to get involved in changing the world? And what did you find creates ground for the most tangible forms of change? And what did you feel really made a positive impact to others as your time as an activist and a member of Nausea?
All right, you totally broke up, and I didn't catch any of that.
Oh, okay. And lastly, do you have advice for young activists who want to get involved in changing the world? And what did you find create ground for the most tangible forms of change? And what did you feel really made a positive impact to others as your time as an activist and a member of Nausea?
I'm going to say, to be an activist, you just really got to believe in what you're saying, and you just got to you just got to have perseverance and just really be strong about what you're saying, what you feel, what you mean, and make sure you're understood and get the point across. You know what I mean? Keep it simple. Don't get too complicated. Don't. You know what I mean?
And Roy, okay. In 1996, you played for Hare Krishna band Shelter. Is that true? You played for Shelter?
Very much so true.
Were you straight edge?
No.
Was Shelter a straight edge band or what?
They were straight edge. They were, I mean, vegetarians into Hare Krishna, into Krishna. You know,
that was a huge difference.
Ray and Purcell were my friends. They've been my friends, you know, from like when I was in Nausea, and I've known them. And at that time, they needed someone to play.
Okay.
Because they're in between drummers. At that time, Mackie from Cro-Mags was playing with them, and I think he jumped over to go start playing with a band called Fun Loving Criminals.
Wow.
And at the time, I wasn't really doing anything, and then I got the call from Ray saying like, and from Mackie saying like, yeah, you know, this guy's gonna be touring, you know, for the next 5 months. You know, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. Like, well, we need a drummer if you want to come along. I'm like, absolutely. And
wow.
Listen to the music. I loved the music. It was great to play, and those guys were really cool to hang with and tour with, and I learned a lot from that tour.
Cool.
You know, more spiritual. I come back with a different outlook on things.
Uh-huh.
It was a good time.
And then after Nausea and after Shelter, you were playing in a huge concert, huge shows with like different bands. And I was reading on the Wikipedia, a lot of these bands I never heard before. Then I saw it on YouTube. They were like crazy concert for like thousands and thousands of people you were playing in front of.
Well, well, actually, with Shelter was probably the first time I ever played one of those big European festivals. Mm-hmm. The first European festival I ever played was Dynamo in '96, and I think like White Devil was on there, which was Paris and Harley from Cro-Mags, other bands. Who else is on there? I think Civ played that. Headliner, get this, was Venom.
Oh, you got Venom. Wow, interesting.
This is when Venom first got back together as three, Abaddon and Mantis. And so for me, that was a huge thing. And to see them live that loud, with so many people around outside was probably one of the most epic shows I've seen. It was great.
So
the other cool thing, they had two different stage setups. I remember when they first came on, the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes, something like that. They had this like low key kind of stage. And then after 30 minutes, the stage went black, another curtain dropped, and then the curtain dropped, and then they had their old stage set up with Mantis like 20 feet in the air and the big ass amps everywhere and smoke. It looked just like the footage you'd see in that Ultimate Revenge metal video. And I remember they had this whole laser show thing happening where they had these green lasers, right? So it basically somehow formed a green pentagram over the whole crowd, all 50,000 people. So they must have placed all these mirrors strategically in all these spots in the fields, in the fairground. So you're basically inside a pentagram. It was pretty amazing.
What were
it was pretty epic.
What were some of your favorite bands that you played with or toured with or played together in the same bill?
Wow. That's one of them.
Including everything, punk rock and non-punk and everything.
With punk, MDC, Oi Polloi.
Oh, I love Oi Polloi.
They're great. Who else? God, man, you got me on this one. Sex Pistols.
So what?
Sex Pistols.
Oh, when they did the reunion in the mid-90s?
96. When I was with Shelter, we played 4 or 5 dates with them.
Oh, wow. Yes, I saw them too. That was really cool.
It was pretty amazing.
Never mind about Pollock.
That to me was definitely a highlight. Never thought I'd ever see that. Never thought they would ever even get back together, and they did. it was a really cool, it was a cool middle 90s, in the middle of the decade. I saw a lot of cool reunions happen that decade. I saw Kiss when they put their makeup back on. That was fucking huge. Um,
Wait,
well,
were you in the same bill as Kiss? Your band?
what's that?
Was your band same bill with Kiss?
No, 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 no. This is a separate thing. I'm just talking about
Oh, okay.
things that I thought were great.
Okay.
Reunions and shit like that. Saw Page and Plant for the first time. I mean, I was as close as you're gonna get to Zeppelin. I saw them in Madison Square Garden. It was incredible. Yeah. Other favorite bands. Okay. Slayer. Played with them many times. They ended up getting to know them and got to be good friends with them, and they're
Uh-huh.
great. Maiden. Saw Maiden a bunch. Got to know them. They're great. Um, Man, I can't remember. Played with. I don't sounds funny. I played with so many shows with so many bands and so many tours. I can't remember.
I remember, I think, if I remember correctly, 12 years ago in Los Angeles, Discharge was playing. And didn't you do like a guest drum? Yeah, you did a guest drum on one
I
of their
did.
songs. I was
Wow.
there at that show.
That was
And,
at the Knitting Factory,
yes.
and that happened because well, I've met Tez prior to that and got to be decent friends. And the reason why I played with them, at least played Feeble Bastard, is because Nausea covered it and he knew that, so he wanted me to play that.
Oh,
So
right.
he jumped on bass for that. I jumped on drums for that. That was probably definitely an epic moment. I
Uh-huh.
got a picture. I got a picture somewhere of me with them playing with that Sword Through the Dove behind me. So I kind of had this old classic Discharge live photo vibe. So I thought that was
Wow.
kind of, yeah.
Also, I was reading this thing. I don't know if I understood this correctly. Were you doing like films or
Yeah,
Religion and Shudder? You were doing
yeah.
Hollywood films, right? What were you doing on those films?
Uh, I did a couple of indie stuff. I didn't do the Hollywood Shutter film. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what it was. It was an indie film.
Uh-huh.
Um, the other one was another film called Legion.
Uh-huh.
Was directed by the bass player of this band called Genocide from New Jersey. Who remembers that band? But this guy Robert Sexton.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I ever done, and I've done some little like indie commercial stuff here and there. Um, the last major film I did was for Lifetime Channel, a movie called Nanny Cam, and you can see that's you can find that online and it's easy to find. Right now, I'm working now that I really can't really talk about, which is
Uh-huh.
fortunate, but I'll find out later once it comes out. But I'm currently working on something right now. That's why everything's all fired up.
Roy, somebody has a question. It says, "What's the meaning of your neck tattoo?"
That this that is a tattoo design that I came up with when I first joined Soulfly. Um, Everybody in the band had to come up with a symbol that represented them. So I came up with that. It was more of like a kind of like a more of a primitive kind of cave drawing. Everyone had to have some sort of simple primitive kind of look to their symbol that they drew. This the reason why it has like a look. Some people say it's a spider, but it's not. It's like a rat basically,
Oh,
and it's a rat because Max used to call me rata. In Portuguese and Spanish, that means rat. And the reason why he called me that because the song that Sepultura had written called Rata Mahata, the translation of Rata Mahata is rat from Manhattan. And that's basically what he called me because I was coming from New York, coming from Manhattan, coming to live in Phoenix and joining Soulfly, so he gave me that name. So that's what that represents. And also the other thing it represents is the state of mind uh, that I'm in when I'm playing drums, which is all instinct, no thought, just play.
since you're a musician, I mean,
Uh-huh.
playing music and stuff. when you guys are out of work, do you guys get unemployment?
Depends. For me, I don't because I can't get unemployment only because I'm an owner of
Mm-hmm.
the company that I'm a part of. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, okay.
when you're in a band and everyone's a member,
Mm-hmm.
you are the CEO. You don't get paid like that
Oh, okay, okay.
unless we were all right. Let's put it for example. Big band. Uh, you hired a bunch of techs and
Uh-huh.
you keep salary. I guess they can file for that
Okay.
because they're the employees. I'm the employer. So no.
Just wondering because of the whole lockdown, everyone, a lot of my friends and I'm on unemployment as well. So I was wondering if you could get on as well and stuff because
No,
there's no income
I
coming
can't.
in right now.
No.
What
Yeah.
what have you been doing during this lockdown to
Basically, just trying to stay healthy and trying to stay sane and just keeping my girl entertained and busy and homeschooling her
oh cool.
and just not to make sure she doesn't just keep her from getting scared and just keep
Uh-huh.
her normal. Just try to have a bit of normalcy around and she understands what's going on, but I don't talk about the gruesome parts of the pandemic to her because I don't want her to know about it. I want her to you know not freak out.
Since since you're a parent, what advice
I
would
mean,
you give?
it's hard for me to sleep at night praying for it, knowing that there's people out there that are fucking dying, and
Right.
nothing's being done about it.
Since you're a parent, what advice would you give to the other punk rock parents when a situation like this?
Well, everybody's situation's different, My only advice is to just do what I just said, just just go by the rules of what is expected of you. Stay the fuck home. Don't touch anything. Suit up. Need to when you go shop. Take care of your kids. You're supposed to homeschool them. Make sure they do their lessons and keep the regiment happening. You get up at 8:30. Make sure you're on that computer with your kids doing their schoolwork from 10:30 a.m. to a certain time, and that's school hours. That's it. Keep them on
Roy,
regiment.
okay. I'm sorry, but we got about 60 seconds and Instagram's going to cut us off because it automatically cut us off after 1 hour.
Really?
Yes. It's what right now we have 60 seconds and 70 seconds left.
Ah.
I can't believe the time went so fast. I was so enjoying doing this interview. Okay, 60 seconds. Any advice for kids who want to start band?
Well, right now is the perfect time. Just stay in your room and practice the fuck out of your instrument, whatever it could be, drums, bass, guitar, piano. Just focus. That's it. Believe in what you do.
Cool.
Believe in yourself.
Roy, I wish you all the best and keep doing what you're doing after all this is over and everything. And thank you so much for the interview. Also,
great talking to you, man. Good to see you, brother. I hope we get to hang out when all this shit's over with, man.
Yes, I'm in Northern California. When everything's over, I come down to LA sometimes. When you guys play live, I'll come and everything.
That's why I think around. You moved.
Yes, we have 10 seconds. It's gonna go off in 10 seconds. All right, take care, Roy. Bye.
Much